Research and Enlightenment. The Association for Research and Enlightenment is the group that sponsors all the study groups. They sponsor field programs, lectures, and symposiums and things like that, you see.
Okay.
And publications, they have a press, ARE Press, publishes books.
Now, when we talk about this material, it goes back to the fact of Cayce himself, and that we are trusting, or the group is trusting in the fact that the material gives accurate information. I mean, you folks are in the movement, and you must have read Harvey and Esther and Carol, the criticisms from both sides. What are the possible sources that this information could come from, especially in the area of medicine, where Cayce himself was not, I mean, he was not even an educated man. Didn't you tell us last week he dropped out of the 7th grade?
I'm glad you brought that up. You see, Edgar Cayce said that the mind is at work on many levels. In addition to the conscious mind, there seem to be many levels of the unconscious that can know, can retrieve information, and solve problems. Then he talked about another part of the mind, referred to it as the superconscious mind, or the mind of the soul. Now, when he went into trance, and the readings point this out very clearly, when he went into this, he subjugated his conscious mind to the subconscious and the superconscious. And the readings specifically say that at the subconscious level, he could commune or communicate with other subconscious minds. And when he gave the physical readings, he could tell from the subconscious mind of the individual who came to him for help what his ailments were.
It sounds like Carl Gustav Jung's collective subconscious.
There's a difference between those two, of course. Go ahead, you explain that, Esther. I don't want to talk too much here.
They are very similar. I think there is a little difference in the way they were put out. But for instance, in the field of dreams, Edgar Cayce is closer to Carl Jung than any other psychologist.
Mm-hmm. For our folks that aren't up with this area here at all, how in the world can a person give himself over to his mind? People, it sounds like double talk. Either that's you or it's not you, it seems. Is there more than...
What do you do at night? What do you do at night? You close your eyes and click off a switch and your conscious mind goes to sleep.
But the subconscious mind should have only what you have put in there.
That's
and
correct.
Cayce came back with stuff that he didn't put in there.
That's because he was able to reach out with his mind and contact other minds. I have read, and I believe it's true, that each person's subconscious mind knows the state of being of every cell within that person's body.
But didn't they even go beyond that and say that Cayce came up with stuff that scientists and doctors didn't even know at that time?
Certainly.
Yes.
But your subconscious mind or the patient knew this. The doctors have no way of diagnosing that. He had the ability of learning from the subconscious mind of the person that came to him what was wrong, what was ailing him, and all kinds of things about him, you see.
How do you explain many of the composers, writers, great scientists who were able to get ideas almost out of nowhere? For instance, Einstein used to say that he would work on a problem as long as he could work, exhaust every angle, and then he might doze off. And he would wake up with the answer. He sort of plucked it out of nowhere. Sometimes people have been able to do this. They have even written whole compositions.
I appreciate your... A lot of people would say, if there are evil forces, demonic, could the demonic possibly be involved here? Did Cayce himself fear or think anything in that area?
One thing he always did, he always said a prayer of protection. He never went into the unconscious state without a prayer of protection, asking the Christ light to surround him and protect him. Once you do that, whether it's Cayce or anybody else, you're safe from the demonic forces.
I would like to add something to that. Jesus said, "By their fruits you shall know them." And the ARE is so involved in service, the Search for God study books that we use in study group, in every chapter, service, service, service. As you treat others, so will you be treated. And I think the fruits that the ARE has demonstrated over the years would indicate that no, there could be nothing demonic involved.
I read one book review actually I read about 5, but one writer said, concerning by the fruits you shall know them. And he went back and quoted Cayce, that Cayce himself repudiated some because of the trance-like states. He read his own teachings. And those teachings brought him to a different view than what Orthodox historic biblical Christianity had taught him in his fundamentalist background.
That's probably true in some aspects.
All right, now in that sense, if the Bible also says that Satan can come as an angel of light. If you put those two together, that Satan comes as an angel of light, and that the doctrine that was espoused during his talking was different from Orthodox historic Christianity, could it be possible that Cayce was deceived?
I don't think so personally. You say, could it be possible? Anything could be possible. I very much doubt it.
How would we discover whether or not he was deceived or not, if we were to be
Again,
objective?
by the fruits.
Let me interject here. I think if you'd read his readings, the trouble is with most people, they read about Cayce in some books, but never got into the raw material of the Cayce readings themselves. The consistency of the readings is so highly spiritual and so cohesive about this one thing that there's no doubt in my mind there was never a demonic evil force came through. It is too consistent. You take those 14,000 readings, you never see any discrepancy from one reading. If he gave a reading to someone and 5 years later he would say, we've had this entity before.
The only thing, Harvey, is that it seems that I agree that they're spiritual in tone, but the Bible also says test the spirits. Which spirit is it? And the measuring stick in Orthodox historic Christianity is the doctrine that Christ and the apostles gave to us. Does it jive with that? And that's what I'm saying, is that the doctrine that he gave when he was in this trance-like state does not coincide with what Jesus and the apostles taught.
Go ahead, Esther.
I came as a child from a Mennonite background. That's about as Orthodox as you can
Sure,
get.
I know the Mennonites.
But it differs very much from many other Orthodox. Now, what Cayce has done has been to enlarge the view of God. He does not repudiate anything in the Bible. He may repudiate what he says may hurt one or two churches. I can't think right now. But he just has a larger view. It is just an enlargement.
Esther, some folks say that Cayce doesn't repudiate it, doesn't say it's wrong. He just changes it. So that when we talk about Jesus Christ, we're actually saying something different than Orthodox historic Christianity. We say sin, it's something different than the Bible. There's no real hell. It's a state of mind. That the way of coming into contact with God and of having a relationship with Him is different than...
That's true.
Well, if it's true that that is not what is saying, then we've got two different, separate things. And that's what I guess I'm saying. Where do we go when we say, this is biblical Christianity, and here's Cayce out of this trance-like state, reinterpreting that, and we're supposed to believe Cayce?
Basically, though, John, there may be different way of expressing it, but I don't think there's anything Cayce ever said that was incompatible with what you find in the Scriptures.
Did you know that? Let's go back to something we were talking about before we got on the show here, and that was the sense of what is sin, and where did